Hello there, everybody. Happy spring. Ostara, blessings to you if you're celebrating the spring festival today. We have finally emerged from winter, unless you live in one of those places where it's still a little bit chilly. I know yesterday it was cold out in the morning when I woke up, and it's kind of cold and rainy today, but spring has sprung. It is time for us to bloom. It is always time for us to bloom. Let's get into day 4 of our spring equinox sacred reset event, because we are all hitting reset on our goals for the year, on our intention for the year, on our energetic alignment for the year. We are hitting reset on how we show up as the beacon, the energetic sort of, I don't know, caster, the vision for other people in our lives, for society, for our communities, because we need women. We need women right now radiating that power energy. Let me go ahead, share my screen, get right into everything, because we have places to go today. Places to go, things to talk about. In the comments, we've got some of Team Sisters Enchanted here. I know that we've got Patty, Naomi, Jenna, and I was going to say Jenny. Talking too fast. Patty, Naomi, Jenna, and Anna in the comments today. They will answer any of the questions that you have along the way. Remember, all of the replays from this week, we have them on one convenient page for you to access. Of course, they're on YouTube, but you can also get them on a podcast. So if you go to the content page, if you're a person who's super busy like I am, super busy creating the life of your dreams, you'll want to go to this content page that we've been emailing you every day to what's it called? I was going to say download. Yeah, download, subscribe to the podcast, because then you can listen to the video replays on the go, and you can put the speed up, whatever it is you need to do to get it done. I know that is one of my favorite ways to enjoy information. Kiara and Nick, these are two of our teammates as well. We are a female founded, funded, run, operated company, and Nick teaches astrology with us and helped write our astrology programming. Sometimes Kiara will be here in the comments, so you can always say hi if she is here. We've also got our wayfinders helping us out in the comments today as well. This week, I have been sharing with you a little bit about who I am, since I am the founder of TSE, the Sisters Enchanted, the one who creates our programming. I'm an author of a couple of books. I think it's important for you to know who I am if you decide that you might want to take our program, our holistic witchery program, with us this year. And we've also been sharing our values. So this is the last story I'm going to tell you today. This photo now is a couple of years old, still fresh in my memories, though. Those are my kids. They are now almost 11 and 8. So I think they were, 8 and maybe 5 or 6 in this photo, 8 and 6 in this photo. That's myself, my husband, and we are standing on the top of a mountain in New Hampshire. And I share this with you because I want you to know I am the kind of person who has the energetic bandwidth and capacity to carry 2 children and a husband who is not exactly Mr. Calm, cool, and reasonable. He's an Aries sun, and it shows. He's also a middle child, and it shows. And I can get these people kicking and screaming up a mountain. We sort of inadvertently ended up climbing this mountain. It was not part of our plan, and we did like 800 to 900 feet gain in only a mile. So if anybody speaks hiking lingo, that's a lot of uphill for 1 mile. Very exhausting. And I bring that energetic capacity to all of Team Sisters Enchanted. We are the type of people who will always reorient our conversations, will reorient our thoughts to where we're going, not where we are now. We will look to tomorrow. We will look to the future. If you are feeling guilty for wanting more in your life because there are so many people in the world who are suffering right now and are struggling to get by, and you are not one of those people, and you are guilt-ridden thinking, my life is good, I love my family, I love my job, I love my bank account, and what if I could double that, triple that? What if I could amplify my energy such that I have an abundance and overflow, extra energy to help other people rise and shine and be in their power? What if? And the guilt is holding you back. We will always orient you to that what if, not the guilt, the thing that's keeping you anchored in today. And more importantly, we have the tools to teach you to have that energetic capacity in your life. And that's what we do in Holistic Witchery. So this was a very funny day well, not funny. It was a very painful experience for all of us. But as we were climbing this mountain that day, a couple of women who I think were probably in their 70s were coming down the mountain, and they stopped and looked at me and they said, "So Dad's really setting the tone for this hike, huh?" Because he was palpably angry at me. And yet here we are smiling at the top of that mountain. So we can help you create this energetic capacity in your life. That's what we are here to do. Orient to the magic, the possibility, and stop procrastinating on what could be, on what matters for you. We all have conflicting priorities: time, family, money, energy, health, right? And we'll procrastinate on what matters to us. We'll procrastinate on our priorities. And that is not being in our power. That is not a life that feels like a spiritual practice. My life every day feels like a spiritual experience. Something happens in my life every single day that feels like a spiritual experience. We want that for other people. So the values we've shared with you this week, so that you know also where we come from here, and the values we hold in our community, in our programming. Leading with kindness, always lead with kindness with yourself. We're going to talk about that today when we talk about the element of air. Being time intentional. Time is your one finite resource. You cannot get it back. You cannot get yesterday back. We are resourceful people. We are personally responsible people. And our final value is practicing personal vitality. So this one, I kind of defined it here for us because I care a lot about it. Definitions of personal vitality: lively and animated character, a lively and animated character, and the power of enduring. We also have the peculiarity, can't say that, distinguishing the living from the non-living, capacity to live and develop, and also the physical or mental vigor, especially when highly developed. We want people whose lives feel like you can feel the vitality running through your interactions, through your experiences, through the food you eat, through the clothing you wear, through the magic you create every day. When we talk about spiritual practices here, we aren't talking about getting it right and sitting down and memorizing tools and getting the right crystal for the right thing. We want you feeling the energy racing through you into every experience you have in your life, so everything feels like that beautiful, wonderful, connected, present experience. So personal vitality is one of our top values. We hold it near and dear here at the Sisters Enchanted with our teammates and our community, and encourage everybody to find experiences, cultivate experiences where we can practice the feeling of personal vitality. All right, we're going to talk about the elements today. We're going to go back through where we've been and where we're going. But first, we told you this week I was going to tell you about Holistic Witchery. Holistic Witchery registration is open today through Sunday. It is our program that includes our magical practice teachings all about witchery, our framework for changing your thoughts, for creating thoughts that are expansive, not constrictive, astrology fundamentals, and our Conjuring Abundance curriculum, which helps us all get our money stories right. And we have it open for registration for a few days. This is an exciting time to register. Also, I'm sure you hear this a lot online if you ever go to like free classes like this. But for us, it is an exciting time to register because we are on the brink of the curriculum update, which I think is going to come out in autumn, in September. So what's really cool, if you're already in Holistic Witchery, those of you who are already in it, and anybody who registers now, you will have access to the current curriculum and the rewrite, the reconstruction in September. So this is a really like bang for your buck situation because currently the vision is swirling in my brain is quite a bit of like a little deconstruction and putting back together again in a different way. So you really will have two unique experiences when you register now, and you don't have to pay for the new one. And anybody who's here today who's already in it, you get the 3.0 when it is released. Fingers crossed for September. Definitely the swirly whirly in my mind is happening. And anybody who knows me knows that all it takes is 1 minute for it to lock in, and it's gonna come. So I'm really thrilled with sort of the direction that is happening for us here. These are some of the extras that you get when you register: an energy protection class, Mercury learning styles, moon meditations, a vision board class. You actually will get our live Beltane event that is happening in the end of April. So lots and lots of goodness to be had in holistic witchery. It is a class that we teach in a couple different parts currently. Again, we're going to have a little revamp in the fall, but right now, right in spring coming up, starting next week, we teach the witchery fundamentals and our thought work framework. Then in the summer, we teach conjuring, abundance, and astrology. You also get a free t-shirt, which is really exciting when you finish your witchery curriculum. We give you a form to fill out, and we gift you a t-shirt for completing that because we know what it takes to commit to yourself, and we want to support you in that commitment. Holistic Witchery is right for you if you want to stop procrastinating on what matters to you in your life. That's a big statement. But like for me, I have an amazing life. Like truly I do, because of the things we teach in holistic witchery. And some of the things that matter to me, I love to read. I was a former English teacher. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks, but I love to read some like denser, like brilliant fiction, right? And I've not been prioritizing that thing that matters to me. So I need to come back to intention. How does that fit in my intention? How does that fit into my energy in my life? What do I need to do to get that in? It can be big, like stop procrastinating on, the relationship that I want to have with my husband. I think about when our kids are older, what will that look like? Well, how can I have that happen now? Because we really only do have one life to live, and tomorrow is not promised. So instead of waiting until my kids are grown, how do I get that going now? Those are some of the things I'm grappling with right now as I share my personal experiences and what I am procrastinating on and would bring to my holistic witchery table. If you want to feel like your life is a spiritual practice, like you're not trying to find a spiritual practice, your fucking life is a spiritual practice, holistic witchery is for you. And if life feels good and you feel really guilty for wanting more, we can help with that too. All right, let's get into the elements. We talked about the moon on Monday. We talked about lunar intentions and solar goals. We talked about how you want to feel, why it can be challenging to decide how you want to feel. Really digging down, like getting under the surface of why you want to feel a certain way. And maybe that's the ticket. That's the golden ticket to deciding the juicy, big word, how I want to feel. On Tuesday, we talked about energy. We talked about shadows. We talked about the chakras. I asked you to consider which energy center might be holding a story that's keeping you from feeling how you want to feel. I'm going to level with everybody right now. We all have an area of life that doesn't feel the way we want it to feel. That incongruency is the thing that detracts us from really radiating out, like overflowing with the kind of energy that helps people around us to see that for themselves. I think we can feel very helpless in times where it feels like there's too much to do, too many problems to solve, and we can't solve them, so we do nothing. And I do think it is very true that when you are aware of your energetic stories, you're aware of how you show up in a conversation, you're aware of how you empower other people to see their power. Like that's the ultimate magic. That is witchery in action. That is spiritual practice in action. Through our presence, how we help other people to feel about themselves just by being the kind of energy that is lifting the world up and not tearing it down, that makes a difference. So we want to see, where are we shrinking down in our energetic stories? How can we expand in that area? Yesterday, we talked about tarot. With tarot, we talked about self-trust, and how we might second guess ourselves, or we might not be open to receiving the very thing we know in our hearts in our gut, because we're just looking for somebody else to say, like, no, I would have done the same thing. Yes, that's true. Yes, that's good. Like validate, really crowdsourcing the next step forward rather than knowing that we are our one source of truth and can be trusted. We're going to add on to this today by talking about the elements, So again, how do you want to feel with your lunar intentions, solar goals? What will you do to feel that way? What energy center or shadow needs to be reworked? Yesterday, self-trust. What message do you have for yourself? In a minute, you're going to want your pen and paper if you're a note-taking type of person. And before we get to our activity, but why are we talking about the elements? Why are we talking about the elements? Well, firstly, in any witchery laden spiritual practice, the elements come into play. I am going to put up a slide in a minute and give you information about the four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Of course, for some people we talk about more elements, but for our purposes of our discussion today, we're going to talk about the four elements. Uh, the elements, when we connect with them on a level where we don't just like know what they mean. We don't just know what earth like represents, the colors of earth, the crystals of earth, all the associations. When we start to think about how the elements engage with each other, how we engage with the elements, this is how we can start to better understand how we engage with other people. The elements are also foundational to astrology. If you hang around here long enough, you'll hear me tell the story about how astrology saved my marriage. And that is not a fake story. That is not an over exaggeration of a story. Marriage has been extremely challenging for me, probably the hardest thing I have ever done. And there was a point where marriage counseling did not help. I was trying to figure out, like, how is it that because I am the person who works in our family. So what's this going to look like financially? How am I going to swing two households? Like, what are we going to do here? And it came down to looking at my husband's birth chart, my birth chart one day, and then looking at the elemental relationships. And I just had this like aha moment. And I was like, man, this is this. It's just the way we're engaging with each other. How do I utilize a different side of my elemental combination to interact with his? How do I change this by looking from a different perspective of myself? So the elements are core to astrology. The elements relate to tarot. The elements actually relate to the seasons. Right now we're in spring, which is aligned with the element of air, we're going to talk about that today. The elements are foundational to all of these tools that we've been talking about here. But I think that they are also key to reminding us that circumstances are circumstances. And the moment we give our power to a circumstance is really the moment that we abandon ourselves. And when we look at the elements, we can see that because we can learn so much from nature and from these elements. I love to hike, mostly in New England, and along the East Coast of the US. But when you hike in the mountains in New England, there are tons of boulders left behind from the glaciers moving, which I know that's the case through, in different parts of the US. Again, I'm most familiar with hiking in New England. And in some of these boulders, though, will be like big trees growing out of the middle of a crack in a boulder. And it's interesting to learn from the elements because we can learn from Earth that the circumstance of the earth, the circumstance of that boulder being there, that thing that's immovable, does not stop a tree from growing. We can look at the element of water, and we can look at an ocean or a lake or a pond or whatever you're familiar with where you live with bodies of water, right? And we know that when the wind is ripping through, the water changes, even though it's a huge, giant body of water. And when we focus on just the associations of the elements, like, well, what's associated? What color do I work with? What tarot suit, whatnot? We're really missing the power, for lack of a better word, of the elements because they are teaching us so much. The water moves with the wind, right? It becomes flexible. It becomes mobile. It becomes adaptable. When we look at the trees growing out of the rocks, we can see that grit and tenacity. We can see that determination, how long it must have taken to make that happen. And yet there it is doing it, right? And so when we are feeling very disconnected from possibility, when we're feeling very like, why am I having this argument with my relative again? Or why does this thing feel bad in my life? Or I'm questioning, should I get a new job? Should I retire? Should I be a stay-at-home this? Like help with grandkids? Should I be a stay-at-home mom? Like, what should I do? Should I have kids? Should I not have kids? Should I feel bad about not having kids? Oh my gosh. We can look to the elements and remember that circumstances are not as fixed as we like to think that they are. And the elements can help us rearrange our energy and rearrange our thoughts. And it's a big part, I think, of women who feel spiritually connected in their lives and feel like they are having these radiant divine moments and feel like relaxed and like their body is at ease and their jaw isn't tight and their shoulders aren't high and they're not being defensive. They're not living in black and white thinking. They're not spiraling over everything that's happening in the world, is women who can sort of tap into the elements in the way that they can relate to it in their own energy. They can become the movable thing, like the water in the wind. They can be playful, like the wind comes through and knocks your paper cup over when you're outside at a picnic, right? It's inhabiting the energy, or having the energy of the elements inhabit you and your essence. That is why we work with the elements. They tie into everything that we've learned, and they can truly help us to ground, center, amplify, and become this wonderfully divine presence in our own lives. All right, let's get the screen share going here and share about these elements. So if you have a pen and paper, that's good. If you don't have one, you might want one now. And we're going to go through the elements, and then we're going to talk about the element of air, because that is our spring element. So we have the element of earth. That's the one that we all, we stand on it. Like we are of the earth. We are people of the earth. When we talk about astrology, it's something that I think isn't really, I never hear it discussed, but we are talking about astrology from the perspective of the earth. So how we relate to where the planets are in the sky and the asteroids and whatnot, it is from our perspective here on Earth. And remembering that we have this available to us to be grounded on at all times is so important. So when you need to be grounded, when you need to be rooted, earth is your thing. It is aligned with energies around physical resources, home, finance, wealth. We talked about the chakras on Tuesday. This is your root chakra. And just think earth, like, the earth is hard, it's soft, it is rigid, it is fertile. Plants grow from it, animals live on it. Compost, what do we give back to the earth to compost, turn into something else? We can think very literally in terms of the products that the earth does not compost. It just like hard rejects them. And where are we trying to put things into our energy to compost that is just being hard rejected, and we're just not seeing it? Like we just keep dumping it in the landfill and it is going nowhere. We can learn these things about us by looking at the elements as well and relating to them. In associations, Earth is aligned with the energy of winter, and at least how we teach it, the new moon in the moon cycle, the moon phases, and the pentacles suit in tarot. And yeah, of course, there's Earth zodiac signs as well. Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus would be our Earth zodiac signs. Taurus season is next up after Aries season, which we just entered into. Then we have our element of air, the element of air. And as I said a moment ago, air can be very playful, think kind of flirtatious, like play tricks. It just comes out of nowhere. Air can obviously be destructive when left sort of, I don't want to say unchecked. That's because we can't check the air, right? But when it spirals together in a certain way, it can be very destructive. which is important for us to recognize as we think about our thoughts. So your thoughts can be playful, they can be flexible, they can be very what if thoughts, or they can be destructive thoughts, thinking doom and gloom, sadness, bad things happening, much like a hurricane or a tornado. You can move between both. You can be rigid in them, you can be bendy in them, but thoughts, communication, shifting perception with air, taking action, mindset, all very air sort of oriented topics here. Air is aligned with the season of spring. As I said, we're in spring now. This is our air element, the first quarter moon phase, and also the swords in tarot, the way we teach this, air is aligned with the heart chakra. Sometimes folks will teach this that it's aligned with the throat. We do the 4 core elements with the 4 lowest chakras. So root, sacral, solar plexus, heart. I love air for the heart because this is where your self-love is. And self-love is deeply rooted in your thoughts. Deeply rooted in your thoughts. If you are not loving your body because you are having hormonal changes and your hair is falling out or your waistline is increasing, or you are not loving, the thoughts you think when you look in the mirror, or when you have to see like an ex-husband or an ex-wife, or, your in-laws or your parents or whoever, and suddenly the thoughts come in, like that is not self-love. And so air with the heart and that worthiness, how we're communicating worth, expectations, self-love. All right. Next up is fire. The energy of fire is one that I love. I got 5 planets in Sagittarius. And passion, creativity, joy, experience, shadow work, sexuality, transformation, all fire sorts of energy. It is aligned with the season of summer, the energy of the full moon, the wands suit in tarot, and fire is aligned with your solar plexus chakra. So this is your self-trust area. Interestingly, I think sometimes we think of the sacral chakra because that is the passion, that's pleasure, and that all feels very like sexuality. That's your reproductive organs, very fiery. But that really is more of your creation sort of area, where fire and self-trust and confidence, right? That is truly when we are in our self-trust, when we are in our confidence, that's how we can transform any situation, like diffusing this heated argument or something, or like radiating this vibe where people just, they look at you and they don't even know why they're looking at you. Like that is your solar plexus on fire. And that is where this energy is coming from. Water, and I know my video always cuts this one off. I think I remember for next time. Water is our final element here, exploring your inner world, very nurturing. It's visioning energy. Think of gazing into a crystal ball or water scrying or something, or how you feel looking out at a big body of water, like a big lake, or if you've, people who've been to the ocean, when you see the waves crashing, how you can just feel it like, it's like you can feel yourself connecting to it and being nurtured by it. It's very healing. Psychic work is aligned with water. And this is your sacral chakra. And that is because it is this point of healing, particularly in people who relate to feminine energy. It is our center for healing our passion, our pleasure, our creativity, our reception, how we move through the world there. It's aligned with the energies of autumn, the 3rd quarter moon, the cups in tarot, and as I said, the sacral chakra. All right, what we want to focus on here, though, an activity for you, this is what's in your worksheets, is the element of, I I had this clicking all through, is the element of air. Our thoughts, our communication, shifting perception, taking action, mindset. As I said, this is aligned with spring, the first quarter moon, and swords in tarot. Now, the sword suit in tarot is the suit that looks the most disturbing. I think you have there's swords everywhere. The 10 of swords is somebody on the ground with 10 swords stabbed in their back. You've got the 9 of swords, which looks like a sword monster, kind of like, it's like the nightmare card. You have the 8 of swords, where a person is in this like cage of 8 swords. The 3 of swords, it's the heartbreak card. It's very confronting. But what we learn here is that our perception of a situation, the thoughts we are thinking about a situation, is really the reality we're creating for ourselves. And when I talk to you about your solar goals, how do you want to feel? What are you going to do to feel that way? And I said earlier this week that the stories you hold in your energy will either allow you to take action or keep you from taking action. In the springtime, or with the first quarter moon, this is where we can really work with the energy of air to shift our thoughts, to really focus on what thoughts do I have to think to take action on this situation. And this applies to everybody, no matter your circumstance, If you are a person who has like everything is looking daisies and sunshine for you right now, and yet you feel like your hanky panky time in the bedroom could be a little bit better, but you're not acting on it. Like the thoughts, the action. What are you thinking? What are you saying to make it a reality? If you're a person who's on the cusp of something big, Naomi, who works here a few years back, she moved out of her house, sold all her stuff, bought a camper trailer, an RV, and like traveled around everywhere to live in a different way, right? To completely upend her life. It was totally wild. And she was on this verge of like buying a new home and really committing to one location. And something about it was like, this is itchy. This isn't right. How do I make this big change? So for wherever you are in your life, whatever door is right there, whatever portal of possibility that there is, we've got to think about how we're taking action on it and what air energy can we bring into ourselves, the thoughts, the words, to create that reality. All right, let's put this all together. On Monday, I asked you how you want to feel and what you were going to do to feel that way. So I said my example on Monday was exhilarated. And also exhilarated. I'm writing it down so I don't lose my train of thought here. My word for the year is lush. I want to feel lush this year. So my word of the year was exhilarated. What energy center needed to be worked on so that you could take action on feeling that way? For me, I was thinking like the heart chakra maybe, or that sacral chakra. That's what I was thinking about working on there, heart or sacral. Yesterday, we worked with tarot and practiced coming up with a message for ourselves, asking a question of ourselves, and tapped into self-trust. So what was your message, or what was your question, or who did you say you were? So for me, one of mine was, who am I? I am the invitation, is what I said. I am the invitation. All right. So now, as I think about what I can do in my life to feel exhilarated, one of the things I mentioned when we started this call was what I'm procrastinating on in life right now. And for me, that is like reading a really rich novel. I haven't read a very rich, well-written novel in a while. I listen to a lot of short, like cozy mysteries on Audible. So that's one of the things. Also, I keep thinking like, well, what will my husband and I do, in 10 years? But, who knows? Who's to say we got 10 years? So how can I stop procrastinating on that and live that life now, right? And how exhilarating could that feel? So when we think about air, again, air is playful. It shifts things, it moves things. It can be destructive. It can also be like a fresh breeze at just the right time. Think of opening your windows on a spring day and letting that breeze into your house for the first time all winter, clearing out all that winter stuckness that's in there. What thoughts can you think to help create this new reality? What thoughts do you think? What words do you speak? The reality you create. So I invite you now to think on this, to write some of this down, the thoughts I think. When I think of air and I think of, I'll use my husband example for this one here. How can we have more fun now? How can we have more date nights and time now in the very busy life that we live? I help care for my grandparents. I've got 2 kids at home. I work full time. How can I make that happen? So the thoughts that I can think thoughts like, I have plenty of time. I make time for fun in my marriage. That one feels expansive. I'm writing it down. I make time for fun in my marriage. My marriage is actually pretty good right now. And I would love for there to be more fun. I'd love for there to be more of that. I make time for fun in my marriage. The words that I speak, what words can I communicate? Now, as I reflect on my life right now, am I communicating fun words? I would say probably not. I'm often saying, oh shit, I forgot that one of our kids had an online class because they're homeschooled, so they're home all the time. Oh shit, I forgot they had an online class. Or, we have to take my grandmother to a doctor's appointment. So one of us has to go sit with my grandfather because he can't be left alone. Who's going to do what, Like the words I speak are very logistical. We speak in logistics these days. So the words I speak, I make time for fun in my marriage. Maybe the words I speak are, I can't wait for dinner. I can't wait for our dinner out next week, right? I can't wait for our dinner out next week. Or I can't wait, or I'm excited to watch. Ooh, anybody else who here loves comedy? There's a new Bill Burr comedy special out. That probably just made some people not like me. I'm excited to watch that new comedy special with you. I'm excited to watch that. Let's get it done. I'm excited to watch that. I don't speak those words. I think them. I've been thinking it a lot. Like, I want to watch that. I don't say it. I say, who's going to go sit with grandpa so someone can drive grandma? What are the kids going to do? We're late on this, right? I say those words. I don't say these. So the reality I create is this exhilarated anticipation in my marriage, because that's the thing I'm procrastinating on right now. Exhilarated anticipation in marriage. Look at that. I'm excited about it. So spring energy supports us in reconsidering how we cultivate our thoughts, how we take action in our lives. Now, this comes together because when you write it down right now, and then you walk out of here and you just live your life like normal, right? Like you still pick up the phone call that distracts you. You still think the bad thought when you look in the mirror. You still do whatever, XYZ. Insert thing. I get off of here and I have a phone call from someone that makes me have to go have a logistical conversation with my husband, right? But we come back to what story needs to be rewritten in our energy so that we are empowered to be future focused. So for me, what story? The story of overdoing, the story of obligations, of being the eldest person and the oldest daughter syndrome, where you fill yourself with obligations. Like I have to rewrite that story to make room for the things that matter. And this is one of the things that matter to me. And we bring it all together in this way. We bring it all together in this way. All right. So we've talked about the moon this week. We've talked about the chakras this week. We have talked about tarot this week. We have talked about the elements this week. And bringing these tools together, they are tools that can support you as you become the spiritual being in your life, as you become the literal tool, the energetic tool that is creating the spiritual practice of your life. When we do this, the tools become the anchors. They become the things that help us to be in service in our lives. All of us are in service of something. All of us. We are in service of other people. We're in service of the companies we work for. We're in service of the family members we support. We are in service of the earth. Hopefully, we're in service of being the kind of people who leave the world better than it was. But the thing that you're primarily in service of is yourself and your energy. And we can use all of these tools that we talked about this week to be in service of our own energy. to be in service of our own energy. I cannot tell you how many conversations I get in with people where they are really just wanting to explain why things feel stuck, or where maybe they don't know how to make things better, or they feel really guilty about creating more or wanting more, or like people who will dim down an area of their life because they feel like kind of ashamed and, like I said, guilty for letting other people know like how good it is. And in those times, we are not being in service of our own energy. And it is through being in service to your energy, creating like an overflow of expansive energy through a spiritual practice, through creating a life that just is the spiritual practice, that we can radiate that out to other people. And we can show up to different things in our lives we want to show up to and speak our mind. We don't feel like we have to convince people they're wrong, because we can be leaders in energy, and we can hold the tone to say, I don't need you to know that I'm right. I know that I feel strongly about this, and I'm going to go find the people that are going to help me make this change that I want to make in the world, to help me change the situation or for my family. But you have to be in service to your energy. Nobody else is in service to your energy. Only you are. Your life is the spiritual practice. You are the tool. And we can use tools to support us in that, but you are the tool. Your life is a spiritual practice. And that's what we hoped to bring to you this week and put that out for you as a beautiful buffet to experience and explore. And my goal was for you to look in the mirror and have some like profound thought about yourself and a fire lit in your belly. And if you feel a fire in your belly, I want you to take that and be that spiritual beacon for other people. Be that thermometer that sets the temperature for other people in your life, so that you can be the creator and not the reactor to all of the things. On Sunday, we are doing a spring equinox ritual that will be on Zoom. So you will have the link for that on your content page. If you want to keep learning with us, like I said, we do teach our Holistic Witchery program. These are all the different modules that are in Holistic Witchery. You will learn the tools. It is not for you if you just want to learn like how to be a witch 101. Then you could probably find something else that will do that. This is not the thing that I would recommend. It will teach you that. We do hands down teach it. But if that is all that you want, there's probably something that's a better fit, because we also teach you the tools and then the mindset work. We teach you our framework. How do I want to feel? What will I do to feel that way? Doing the shadow work, reimagining the way forward, and then growing in your self-trust and intuition along the way. We teach enough astrology for you to be dangerous with a birth chart. We also do conjuring abundance, because I know for me, as a successful woman, the thing that was a huge learning curve was money mindset, not feeling shame and guilt around money, feeling like I could be trusted with money, knowing what to do with money, how to get out of debt, which I've done several times over. And we bring all of that together for you in Holistic Witchery. We are changing up how we teach it starting in the fall, I believe, as of right now. And so when you register today, you're essentially going to get like 2 versions, because you'll keep access to the current version, and we will give you the next version as well. So in anybody who's already in Holistic Witchery, same goes for you. With the program, we also give you tons and tons and tons of extras, hours of Kundalini yoga videos, which some people love Kundalini and some people don't. But Kundalini yoga is chakra yoga, energy protection, mediumship magic taught by my friend Tracy Bray, who had her brain studied at the Windbridge Institute to see what makes mediums tick. How are natural born mediums' brains different than other people's brains or people who train to be a medium, right? And she teaches that class for us. She doesn't teach anywhere except in those videos. And she teaches you to connect to symbolism in the way that works for you, so you identify your own symbols. We teach so much in this class. It is silly. It is a wonderful value because we don't charge for ongoing community access. We easily could, and we definitely should. Anybody who would look at the way we do it and be like, Sarah, that is silly of you. And we don't. We do hold the community for this program tight, where we focus on the program and our community sharing around it. And because you are a different person every time you go through it, you will react to the modules differently. If you come in right now and you're really like, I just want to feel like I know how to feel. We start there, right? or I feel really good and I want to know how to uncover the thing that I'm not letting myself admit that I want more of. Wherever you start, once you level up in that area, you're going to be different when you come back again. So we go through the program again and again. We are rewriting some of it for the fall. So really juicy, wonderful time to join, particularly for that astrology element. And this is just an example of how we go through the program. Though, like I said, it will be a little bit different this year when we roll it out in autumn. All right. Holy Witchery. It is something that we have been doing since 2019. We are on version 2.0 right now, and I'm excited for everybody who registers this time to experience this one and then experience it again with us in the autumn when we go through that session. If you have any questions about joining, be sure to just reply to any emails that we send or reach out to Team Sisters Enchanted. We can answer those for you. But it is for the person who feels like you are ready to live a life that feels divine. Like if you look at your life right now and you don't feel divine, or you don't feel like you're having a spiritual experience regularly just by being in awe of yourself, even if you are not in awe of yourself when you look in the mirror and you don't think like, hot damn, what a gift to earth I am, Holistic Witchery is probably for you. If you are food or housing insecure right now and you are grappling to get those bills paid, wait on Holistic Witchery. We don't believe in fear of missing out. We aren't going anywhere. Been doing this for 9 years. I'm currently plotting which one of the several young children between my kids, other teammates' kids, nieces and nephews, grandchildren, who's going to take over in 30 years. We aren't going anywhere. And so when the time is right, we will be here. We don't do FOMO, fear of missing out. That's like a created emotion. We're all going to be here. But it is for you. If you do not feel like you have the energetic capacity either to manage certain people, to not be reactive with everything that's running through the news cycle every single day. If you are interested in tools like tarot, astrology, it's for you. It is part metaphysics, part mindset, part growth, all very practical. As I said, I was earlier in this week, I am a former teacher. I love science and data. I also love metaphysics and the unexplained. And we bring those together here in Holistic Witchery. I'm very proud of it. We routinely the last 2 years have had over 40 to 50% of people who start this spring or autumn session finish the witchery portion of the curriculum. And if you don't live in the online world like I do, the average completion rate is only about 4 or 5%. And we're doing 40 to 50%. And people come back and join again. We've got folks who've been literally doing the program since 2019. And it is near and dear to my heart. I love it so hard. I'm very proud of it. I know what we teach works. I know that more women need to feel alive, need to feel flexible in their thinking. I think we adapt rigid thinking as a way to protect ourselves and our belief systems. I think that we need to feel more available to relax and receive and stop overcommitting, overdoing, self-sabotaging. I think that when we are the priestesses of our own lives, we become the sort of people who others naturally like rise with instead of sink with. We raise people up. We have the power to do that. I think that the word witch is very powerful and very strong, and people have big, strong emotions about it. I am a person who calls myself a witch. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a witch. I was raised Christian, and occasionally my kids go to Sunday school with relatives. All is good there. And yet I think the word witch is very powerful, and it makes us sort of question, our commitment to being authentically ourselves, to being faithful in that which cannot be seen, and reconciling that with what we can see, and knowing that we don't have to be afraid to be seen in our own lives. We don't have to be smaller And on the flip side of that, we don't have to be bigger in order to try to prove who we are, which can be the other side. We can shrink to be more safe in our visibility. But there are also people, and in different circumstances, I've been this person as well, who are so loud. We can be so loud because we want to be seen as validated, witnessed, right, seen in our pain and struggling. As a person who has not had a long life, good relationship with her father, my first stepfather, I'm on stepfather number 2. I have been in situations where I have been so like, look at me, see me, validate me, hear me. That's the flip side of shrinking, where you're expanding so much that like it's just chaos energy, right? And when we are true in our energy, when we are in ourselves, in our energy, that is when we have the capacity for other people and everything that life throws at us. And we do that here with the tools of witchery, by looking at the word witch, by looking at how we want to feel, by looking at how we can create more for ourselves without feeling guilt. We do the thought work, we create the spiritual practice so that life becomes the spiritual practice. It's not another thing you have to do. Your life is that. Somebody asked me recently, what are the things I do that are witchiest? And I ended the sentence with living my life is like the witchiest thing that I do, is living my life, like truly. And the spiritual practice, the tools are embedded in who I am, in my life. It's not a thing I have to make time for because it is who I am. And I want that for anybody who wants it for themselves. All right, y'all. Well, we're going to end it up there. Thank you so much for hanging out this week. Remember, the replays are available through the end of the month. And your word of the week, your spell of the day for your free gift tomorrow. When you enter your spell of the day on the class page each day this week, you will get the free gift tomorrow, which is a chakra journal PDF. I just made it. It's brand new. I'm a fan of it, if I do say so myself. Your spell is, I cast spells with my words. I cast spells with my words. I cast spells with my words. I'm going to cast spells with mine by telling my husband how much I'm looking forward to spending time with him. I don't usually say that to my poor husband. Usually like, do more things to help me. I cast spells with my words. On Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, we will be on Zoom. The link is on your class page and we'll email it out for a spring equinox ritual. You don't need to bring anything. If you want to, you could bring a journal and a candle, but I will hold the container for everybody and we will do a spring equinox ritual. And I'm hoping the weather's good and we can get outside and I can take you outside with me and be in the elements in nature to do it. Thank you so much. I know your time is precious. You've got a lot of choices with where to spend your time. I appreciate you all being part of the Sisters Enchanted family in whatever way works for you right now. And it's not lost on me what a privilege it is that your energy has been with us this week. And I hold that privilege dearly. And I appreciate you so much. And get out there, make some magic in your life today in whatever way that is for you. And give yourself a little pep talk next time you look in the mirror, because you are awesome. You are capable. You were born magic. And your only job was ever to stay that way, my friend. And don't forget it. All right, y'all. I'll see you on Sunday for our ritual. If you're a VIP, I'll see you over there. Have a great day. And happy spring equinox, y'all. All right. Bye.